The Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly.
Wayne's World.
I'm Doctor Who.
That's right.
It's the Doctor Who. I'm Drew. Dr.ew.
Yeah, for me, I think this record pushes the boundaries, both as far as adding distortion and then kind of removing everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a track on the record that doesn't have any drums or any real sense of time until the bridge, and I think we were very conscious about pushing ourselves and making sure that we were covering new ground, because you know, you don't want to say the same thing twice.
Right.
We built our own studio, we became totally autonomous, cut ties with Sony and Columbia, and just kind of started from scratch and wanted to rediscover why we love rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. And the answer to that is, why do you love rock and roll?
We came to the conclusion that we love rock and roll. The things that we love about music in general, I think, are the elements of music that connect with the deepest parts of us. You know, music can get under your skin without your permission, and those are the songs that we decided we wanted to play, you know,
Mm-hmm.
on this record and for the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll's honest too. You know, it's honest. It's from the heart. It's who you are, despite what anyone else might think or say. And you know, these are songs on this album that are us, that are only we can sing, as far as just what the words are, what we've lived, what we've experienced, and what's behind us. So, you know, that's another thing that I think translated to us on this record that made it unique.
You guys come from, there's a very strong faith-based element to the music, of course, right? Can you tell us, was that a conscious decision in building the band from the beginning that you were going to kind of market to this faith-based crowd, or did it just evolve that way? And are you guys, you know, as spiritual as your fans believe you to be?
I think for us, we've always been very open about the journey that we're on spiritually, and you know, as individuals and as a band. The songs that I write come from a place of honesty, and you know, a lot of the questions in the songs are not rhetorical questions, but they're actually questions that I'm asking for my own purposes. And I found that songs are one of the few places that I can be honest. You know, even with your closest friends, you kind of have to put your guard up, and there's some things you can talk about, some things you can't. But with a song, you can talk about sex, God, politics. The gates are wide open, and so as a band, we take full liberty,
Right.
being able to talk about anything we want in the song.
So you mentioned freedom earlier, and was this a choice that you guys were able to make because your fan base is there and you're able to sell records now without the machine, so to speak, or was there a pivotal moment that happened with you guys as a band and the label that made you say, you know what, it's time to divorce?
Well, it was kind of a gradual thing.
We just grew apart.
The industry was changing a lot in the last few years. As you know, the music industry has been turned upside down, and a lot of the labels, you know, I guess it got to a place where we're about the relationships that were built at the label, and there wasn't anyone we knew left there, and to a certain extent. You know, it was kind of a mutual thing in certain ways, but then it was also us just like, you know, we were wanting to just continue movement and move on, and we didn't want to, I don't know, it ended up being really, really perfect timing that we couldn't have even planned, really.
Mm-hmm. Was there a concert, you guys, for you growing up that you can point to that was kind of pivotal in your adolescence that comes to mind when I mention this?
The concerts for me that were pivotal were Boilermaker concerts. That it's a local band from Leucadia, right, just in San Diego, California. That there were several of them that were in backyards and friends' houses, and those guys were as much my heroes as U2 or you know, Led Zeppelin, because I'd never seen U2 or Led Zeppelin in concert, and I'd seen Boilermaker a bunch, and they were really nice to me, you know, and it was the type of thing where these are guys that I respected. They're, you know, 5 years older than me and super cool, and I'm this schmappy little kid trying to make it through high school, and that those moments where they let me carry their gear or that sort of thing, you know, it made a big impression on me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing a local band in Southern California called the Violet Burning that really inspired me. I mean, I'll never forget that. It was on a flatbed track in a field. It was just set up out, you know, in the middle of Inland Empire somewhere. And I just remember sitting there and watching the guitar player play, Sean Tubbs actually, and with a lot of freedom, and just it was one of those moments where I was inspired to start playing guitar actually from there.
I know you guys are relatively young. We're all relatively young, but do you think about legacy at all? Does that come into your daily thought process? You're nodding. Yes. Yes.
I think legacy is a huge word that is comprised of daily decisions. As a musician, it's hard to think of notes that we're making that are so transitory having some sort of long-term ramifications. And yet, I do believe that every little thing that we do has enormous weight behind it. Every day you're alive, you change the world, you know, the way that you treat people, that's revolutionary, you know, and so I think that's something that we do, I don't know if we'd call it legacy, but we are very intentional about the way that we tour. We want to leave behind something better than when we found it, you know, so one of the things on this tour, for example, we're collecting canned goods for the local food banks in every city. So if you're coming to tour, bring a canned good so that you can leave the city better than you found it.
So speaking of canned goods, do you have a favorite Campbell soup?
Man, I like their corn chowder or corn soup, whatever it's called. That's a good one. And actually, if you kind of put all of the bean soups together, mix them all up, it's pretty fantastic with a little bit of salsa in there.
We haven't heard the corn chowder yet. We've heard everything with that. It's good.
Drew?
My favorite is tomato soup with a cheese sandwich. Thank you.
Wow. Old school.
Cheese
I like it.
Tomato soup, yeah.
I like it. Awesome.
This is not rolling right now, is it?
It's always rolling with us.
Hi, my name is John.
And I'm Drew.
We're Switchfoot, and you're hanging out with Rockerazzi.